You will not break me.
Yeah.
that was my thing.
Yeah.
You will not break me.
Yeah.
But then when I was alone, I'd be like, oh, why am I going through this? And I was blessed with my Haitian grandmother's big butt. Like before BBLs, before plastic surgery.
Every time I do these like private corporate gigs or whatever, I'm always like, here
we go.
This is not going to be fun.
When I lost my virginity at 20,
Yeah.
that's when my butt grew. Guess what? That whole 4 or 5 days that he spent, I'm sure at least like $10,000 on this trip.
Yeah.
He got nothing.
As much as my 411 can, I will fuck you up.
No, there was no way out. Like I literally said, this is how I'm gonna end up dying.
Or don't get a blowjob from your sneaky link.
Yeah, like
I don't know.
comedy is different now because everybody's like this. Next. Next.
Yeah.
When I went to the Christmas party, girl, the scrimps, I'm not even gonna say the shrimp. The scrimps.
Size though, because this would definitely give me a yeast infection.
I hate going to the gym and I can't stand being set up.
It feels like I just had a one-night stand and I'm like, where's his bed sheet? Oh God.
So to start, but like, thank you for being here. I admire you. I want to just start by giving you like your props, your flowers.
And you could give me that plant. I'll take the plant.
That's true. You can take it. That's it. Sean, Supa's going home with the plant. That's it. I want to know your whole story first, just from a genuine, because we did work together, at our respective radio stations, but we were both so busy that we didn't really get a chance to necessarily get to know each other.
Yeah, hang out or anything. We're on different sides of the building,
different sides of the building, different worlds. And I want to know your start, like with everything, because you're a chameleon. You've reinvented yourself so many times. And I selfishly want to know how it all came to be. Yeah.
Wow. So I went to Miami-Dade College and I studied radio and television production. Mm-hmm. And so I had no intentions of getting into radio, never thought about radio. Mm-hmm. My family called me the whiner my entire life. I was the youngest of all the cousins and all the siblings at the time. So I was the one who whined all the time. So I never even thought about my voice even being a part of anything. Mm. And so I really wanted to be, after studying radio and television, I was like, I want to be a camera woman for the news.
No way.
I want to run after murders. Can you picture me doing that now?
Oh my gosh. I can't even picture you behind the camera. Like now that I know who you are. Yeah, that's crazy.
So in college, like when I started the program, they kept, like, when we started doing it, we would do a bunch of projects within the students, but they always kept picking me as the talent of the thing. I don't even know how it happened, but they kept picking me. And so one day I remember my teacher saying, all right, the next project, you have to do this. And no one could pick Supa Cindy as the talent. And I didn't think anything of it. They were like, no way. And I just laughed or whatever.
Yeah.
So I guess that was like the first sign that I was doing something without even realizing I was really doing something in front of the camera. Yeah. Well, after I graduated college, no one would hire me to get on the news to be a camera woman. No one's even called me or anything. So then my homeboy, he was on at nights on 99 Jams. He was the co-host of the Albie Silk show for all you old schoolers. And I told him, he was like, well, let's start a magazine. So me and him were gonna start a magazine. The drug dealer that was gonna front us the money got locked up. So there went the magazine. So when he told me that,
there goes our plug.
Yeah, so I put a whole magazine together, and it kind of like no money to put it together for real. So I went to the station. That's like when it was off of in the hood. 99 Jams used to be in the hood before they went corporate. And I was crying, and he was like, don't cry, don't cry. Listen, we need someone to produce the night show. And that's how I got into radio. I started producing their show. I was an intern. I didn't get paid for almost like 2 years. At the time.
Sounds like radio today.
Yeah. I should be used to it.
Just kidding.
But at the time, my college job was at Florida Power and Light. That's what paid my bills, whatever. So hanging out at 99 Jams, I ended up getting fired.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because I was like calling in sick, didn't care about customer service anymore. I'm like, turn off your AC if your light bill's too high. Like, I didn't care anymore.
Yeah.
And so I just had faith. Then the guy, Albie Silk, he had left to go do radio in Orlando. And I asked Jerry Russian, who was still the general manager of the station at the time, And he didn't know me from a can of paint because I was interning at night.
Right,
It was
so we
the
never
night show,
really
so
got to
no
see
one
you.
ever saw. Yeah, so I went into his office. I'm like, "Hi, I'm Cindy." He goes, and you know, I don't know if you like know Mr. Russia, but he was writing, and he's like, "Yeah, I've seen you before," like all dry,
like unfazed. Yeah.
My heart was like, boom, 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 boom. And so I just said, "Listen, I want to do this. I love it. I can do it." He goes, "Oh, we're gonna bring a guy in, and when he comes in, we'll see how you guys work together. We'll call you." It took forever. It was like 3-4 months had gone by, and then they called me. They put me in a closet in the old building. There was like this little storage closet. They pushed me in it. "This is your new partner. See how you guys get along." And it was Big Lip Bandit.
Oh, whoa.
And Big Lip Bandit and Supa Cindy. Luckily, Big Lip's ego wasn't the way, normal guys in radio are. I was used to not really talking.
Yeah.
I wasn't really used to talking as the intern. I was, but when he came, he's like, "Why are you so quiet? Talk." And I was like, "Oh, I could talk." So we became a duo. And in my opinion, and tell me I'm wrong, I dare you, but we literally changed radio in South Florida because the duos that everyone started really doing duos. There were duos, but not duos that equally spoke. You know what I mean? It was one personality stronger than the other that they just chimed in here and there. He and I were like the full show was he and I.
Especially as a woman as well too. Like it's like there's a funny sketch that I had seen online that people started sending to me when I expressed interest to like my friends and family that I wanted to work in radio. And it's funny, and it's a girl who I guess used to work in radio and does comedy. And she's like every girl on a morning show with 2 other guys. And it's just her going like,
not even
crazy. Yeah, sports are fun. Yeah. Like she just has to like shrink herself, barely gets a word in or whatever.
She has to put in a giggle and that's it.
That's it at best. Yeah. So that is true. Like really in an era of duos that each held their own and like really vibed well together. Like you guys like kicked off an era in South Florida. Okay, I have so many questions. So talking about like the male ego you had touched on, because I obviously experienced that as a woman in a male dominated field with comedy. I just see sometimes this blind, unwarranted confidence from my male counterparts. And I'm like, where do you think this ego originates from? Or like, where do you think, I just find the women are so much more like realistic, committed to growth. I mean, I taught Supa improv, and she had the best like vibe and attitude. But we were thrown into a corporate workshop together at the radio station. I was thrown into teaching it. She was thrown into taking it. And somebody of her status, you walked in like, "Let's do it. Let's learn. I don't care. Let me roll my sleeves up."
I even told you after that, like, I loved your improv class.
Thank you. It made my day. You DM'd me and were like, cool. "I loved that." And I was like, "Thank you." Yeah.
It was really cool.
So where does this male ego in our respective fields come from? And why does it go unchecked for so long still?
I think, like, especially, I got into radio as an intern in the year 2000. So imagine. And I think that's just the way everything went. Like when the Me Too movement came out and people started accusing males of different things, I just would be like, that's not the norm. Like some of the things that women were being, like, I was blessed. My dad is Haitian. My mom is Dominican, rest her soul. And I was blessed with my Haitian grandmother's big butt. Like before BBLs, before plastic surgery.
That's a rarity in South Florida.
Since I was like 20, when I lost my virginity at 20, that's when my butt grew, okay? And so I have a big butt, and I always have. People say I could sit a table on it, and that became a lot of the jokes
you
on the radio.
Your own butt in the monitor. You went, "My ass looks great." I was like, "Yes, it does."
I was like, "Wow, my booty."
Own it.
But like men, we walk into situations differently than men. We have our guard up, but our guard down because we can't be too strong, but we gotta show them that we're not playing no games. We have to overthink and analyze things a million times. At least that's my experience. And so guys are just used to being guys. Now they're more afraid because now all the movements and all the people getting locked up for doing stupid things. But a male ego is like what it was the whole time. So they
Yeah.
just like kind of like a boys club.
Yeah.
There's so many boys clubs in different situations, but they may be amongst themselves are the same boys club, but in public they're like a died down boys club because they can't offend anyone. They don't want to get canceled.
Right.
But yeah, like a lot of men that are especially not comfortable within themselves and in their own skin are gonna come in with that machismo, like, I run it. You don't talk over me, and I get mic one, and
I get to do this and do it. And it's
that's
like
that insecure stuff.
It's overcompensation. Yeah. But to your point about it being so widely accepted, like even Sarah Silverman had said, like when the Louis C.K. Allegations were coming out and everything. And I mean, Sarah Silverman's like an open feminist and like ally to women and female comics and very vocal. But like even she had said, like, that's just what happens. Like it's just.
And it's sad that we just
like let it happen. You know what I mean? And I mean, I think now we've also seen the Me Too movements kind of, I always describe it as like a rubber band where like it needed to stretch and it needed to happen because like these people needed to have the confidence and the climate to come forward about these things. And then I think like it snapped a little bit, the rubber band, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, now it was like, okay, people are getting canceled for hitting on a woman or shooting their shot at a bar or it just got a little he said, she said.
Yeah.
But it was so necessary because I think women were we didn't even realize how silenced we were in so many aspects, especially in these fields.
And like I said, that when that Me Too movement came about and like different scenarios of accusations and things happened, I was like, wait, that's not okay. That's what I've been going through this whole time. Like, I didn't see anything wrong with what was going on and what was happening. That was the norm. That was the environment, you know, as in hip hop and just that was what it
happens.
was.
Yeah, totally.
I just knew that I wasn't part of that program. Like, I'm not doing all that stuff. But at the same time, like, I wasn't offended because I knew they weren't talking to me type thing.
And
you
also
know?
like, you're like, who am I to judge? Because it's all around me and this is what's happening at this point.
I didn't see it like, you know.
Yeah, but I think you're right that it's like, you know, by calling that out or having the fear of that being called out and then like people's reputations and jobs and paychecks on the line now, like we would have never stood a chance at that like corporate or business equality had had we not essentially taken that card away from them to play with. Like, you know what I mean?
Like we stopped them maybe if we didn't stop them completely, we slowed them down.
We slowed them down. Yeah,
speed bumped them.
You can't just whip your dick out metaphorically or literally and expect me to submit to you or expect me to just, you know what I mean? So it's like, we would have never, I think, stood a chance at kind of breaking these like various ceilings had that not obvious imbalance of power existed.
Yeah.
And now that you're at least held accountable for it, we're like, great. So now we both can show up to work equally as individuals as much as possible. You know, but for me, something too that I always admired about you, and I find we were talking about this off camera too. Well, I have so many thoughts. So first off, have you encountered being called a bitch or a diva, or I'm sure you have, or whatever XYZ term is? Yeah.
Yeah, and I say, don't you forget it.
That's what I say too. I say it as,
treat me the right way.
I think it's a compliment. I really do. I say bitch is like
give a damn.
A compliment. I'm like, you're right. I probably did like stand up for myself and say what I believed in. Therefore, I guess I'm a bitch. And
when they say it, I'm like, oh, so I'm being a Scorpio today. Yes, I'm a Scorpio. My Scorpio's coming out. I usually try to suppress her, but
you're like, it's in the stars. It's in the stars. It's bigger than me.
It's the alignments.
Exactly. But what I admire and what I've always found in female leaders and in female public figures as well too is I think it is so impressive and so cool to be in a room with a woman who is accomplished and has a following and has a brand and has like earned her stripes on every level, and then she's like kind and warm and receptive. Like I think I even used to glorify like in order to be powerful, you have to be cold or you have to be a quote unquote bitch or detached. And I don't think that's the case. I think it's way cooler and way more impressive to be how you are. Like your accomplishments are what they are. They speak for themselves. And I think the real strength and the real accomplishment is to still be so damn approachable and kind and warm on top of who the fuck you are on paper. I think that's incredible.
Thank you so much. Like I really, the way I move, I think I get my kindness from my mom.
We have the same birthday too.
February 1st.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
So you're like a game on my list forever. My mom was an Aquarius. But I just think you get further by being kind. And I try to move the way I want people to treat me, the way I expect to be treated. If I'm walking around being a mean bitch, I might be a bitch because I put my foot down and I'm not tolerating nonsense.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm kind. So if you see me acting like a bitch, you're gonna be like, "What did they do to Supa to get her to that point?"
Yeah,
because that's not me.
Yeah,
I stay quiet and analyze a lot, and I'm like, okay, well, when you keep poking the bear, I'm gonna scratch. I'll be like, what the fuck?
Yeah, well, it's fair game at that point too, because it's like, but I mean, this industry will do that, and unfortunately, it is specifically to women where they will keep poking the bear and poking the bear and poking the bear, and that when they get that emotional reaction out of you, then they're like, perfect, got her. Like, I mean, I've had that happen in comedy too, where I was like, damn, I let myself react, but also at some point you're a human being and you're allowed to like react. Yeah.
What's so funny? Like, I just thought about a story. Like, one of my pet peeves is people who are mean to like waiters, servers, or to worker people, you know, like to workers. My whole thing is, I don't mean to say workers if that's like politically incorrect, but just like to people
staff.
that, I remember one time I went through a breakup. This was years ago. I went to a horrible breakup, and a guy that I knew from, you know, being around or whatever, and invited me to go to Jamaica. So I was like, let me get out of here and forget my broken heart. So I go to Jamaica with him. We didn't even go to an all-inclusive. We went to an expensive ass resort, right? And so when we're in the resort or whatever, and I know, I'm already thinking I'm probably gonna have to do something with him. I'm not in the mood. My heart is broken. I'm recovering. I don't feel like being with
the vibes.
Yes,
I'm here
leave
for
me
the
alone. And so as we were there, we went to go eat breakfast, and he was like, yo, and I just wanted to sink in my chair. And he wasn't nice to the staff that worked at the resort. And guess what? That whole 4 or 5 days that he spent, I'm sure at least like $10,000 on this trip.
Yeah.
He got nothing.
Good for
when
you.
I tell you nothing closed, mouth closed, legs closed, nothing. Because he turned me off so much because he was a dickhead. I was like, I can't take it.
Yeah.
I just, and that just proves to me, I do not tolerate people who are not nice to people.
Yeah.
I can't have it around me.
I think it's insane, and every time it happens, and I've encountered it. I just encountered it the other night at a comedy show that I run at like it's a fancy comedy show that I run. I run a couple of them in Miami. Like,
go ahead, Brittany, with your fancy comedy show, you know.
I mean? And to be honest, comedy does not belong in anywhere fancy. So every time I do these like private corporate gigs or whatever, I'm always like, here we fucking go. This is not going to be fun.
The roller coaster's going,
and it's going to crash. It will, 1,000%. So I got so, it was and I like mama bear my friends who are comedians, especially when I'm the one who puts the show together and hires them. Of course, I'm like, I want them to have a good time and whatever. And, you know, one of my best friends was on stage, and there was somebody in the crowd who was very drunk. And again, it was a bougie environment. So there was an elitist mentality. And I can understand that those aren't the best crowds, but not being a great crowd is one thing. Interrupting my friend's set to heckle her and say nasty things about her appearance, about why her man, like she was making a joke about how she's married to her man and they don't have as much sex anymore, like very relatable joke or whatever. And like, she was like, no, maybe he doesn't have sex with you because he doesn't want to fuck you anymore. And like her looks, her relationship with her man, a couple got up during her set just to leave because they had like dinner reservations. And she was like, yeah, you know, you're a good comedian when people are literally leaving during your set. And I like, when you get confronted with that level of like malice and rudeness to someone you don't no.
What was your beef, sir?
Yeah. I'm like, oh my God. Like real life villains exist. Like that's how I felt in that moment. I was like, God, this is like I don't care what you do for a living. I don't care how much money you make. I don't care what privileges you have in your life that afforded you to be at this bougie ass comedy show.
How does someone get like that?
You're literal trash behaving like that. Like, yeah. So
I would have been pissed too. I would have been in there like, okay, I'm gonna crawl on the floor and grab him from underneath the table and
then
yank
they freaking rip him
Stupid.
apart. And I kept like, and I was like and I just kept looking at her like, I am gonna. Like that's my best friend. I'm gonna
F you up, sir.
Gonna fuck you up. Fuck your ass up. As much as my 4'11" ass can, I will fuck you up.
No, you probably fuck someone up even worse than a tall person.
Listen, I told you off camera. We didn't know this. I don't think you knew this about me, but like I dated a monster for 3 years. I know we're bonded on some relationship trauma here and stuff. And everybody was like, everybody always was like, you? Like, first off, I always take it as a compliment whenever people, a weird compliment whenever people can't believe that I've ever landed in a situation like that. Like,
same here. They're like, no, wait, you, Supa, were in that for 8 years? I was 8.
Yeah, I was 3.5. Yeah. It's the most complex issue that I still fully believe that even therapists don't understand. The only people who understand that issue are the ones that are in it or really close to it.
Yeah.
It's the most complex thing. But people, I take it as a compliment where they're like, I really have a hard time believing you of all people ever let a man say
the things that they do.
The things that they did. I'm like, thank you. A lot of healing, a lot of finding myself and claiming myself. But B, like, yeah, this guy was 6'2". 6'2", me. And I was like, that's probably part of the reason why I stuck around as long as I did. Because I was like, you're not going to fucking break me. Like, you know what I mean?
I'm going to show you.
I'm going to show you. I'm the chihuahua that runs up to the bulldog. And I'm like, yeah. And like, you know what I mean? So, but it's yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, you're right. I probably could have fucked him up despite my stature. But yeah, so we both are bonded with that, and I always wanted to talk to you about that. But it always ends up happening to the strongest women, I find.
And the people that don't, people would never think that it would happen to them. I never thought something like that would happen to me. You know what I mean? And then when you blink your eyes, you're in it years deep, and you don't know how to get out, and you're in a cobweb of narcissistic abuse, and you're like, but what was hard for me is me being a public figure, and my job every morning, I was on the morning show, I had to entertain hundreds of thousands of people and be happy all the time. Yeah. And an incident could have happened the night before or even that morning, or I was going through something that when I got out, he was mad and I would have to go home to deal with that. No one knew. I had to be Supa Cindy, happy all the time. And that was just chipping away at me for years too. But I don't know how I got through that. God, I know how. God, that was the only way. That's the only person that could have got me through what I went through. So.
Yeah, and your resolution and your character and who you are as a person and your spirit and everything.
I know better. I have a praying mom and a praying grandmother in heaven watching over me.
But 1,000%. I swear that my grandmother and my aunt passed prior to me entering that relationship. And I swear, in addition to my mom, but I think it was them as well too, upstairs that really carried me through this and were my guardian angels with that. But don't you also feel like I felt the same way? Like when I actually had dropped out of improv school and I almost fucked up my like potential journey as a comedian because those improv schools they're pyramid schemes. A, that's number one. But B, like they're very like if you miss a class or if you whatever,
you're behind or you fall behind.
You fall behind and you're out of the level, and then you got to pay literally thousands of dollars to get yourself back in to navigate the system and this whole thing. And I'd almost potentially fucked up my whole future in comedy, but it was because I couldn't show up at night and be present and be funny. I really struggled with it when literally the minute before I left for class and the minute I got home, it was a shitstorm.
Yeah, but that's what they do.
Yeah.
When they know what brings you joy, they're going to make sure to mess with you right before you have to. Like, I would be messed with right before I walk out in front of a crowd at a festival of 100,000 people.
It's so fucked.
And guess what?
So
I would go out like nothing ever happened, shining. You will not break me, bitch.
Yeah.
that was my thing.
Yeah.
You will not break me.
Yeah.
But then when I was alone, I'd be like, oh, why am I going through this?
Yeah. And
God, get me out of this.
Get me out of here. Totally.
Why am I here? Oh God, it was.
And you know what? Like, and I say this like, I hope this comes across how I want it to go. Because okay, like incredibly admirable and strong to show up. And again, our careers are not normal. Yeah. So I'm not knocking anybody who has a normal office job by any means.
Like, you suffer too. But.
You suffer too in a different way that I never want to suffer with ever again. And I have. You know, every job has its own challenges. Yeah. But I think like we all can agree it's a weird kind of twisted challenge when you do what we do that is so public.
Of a crowd, yeah.
And where your job is to be you. And it's to show up authentically and it's to tell the truth and connect with your audience. That at some point, like, while on the one hand, you're like, I am quite literally I am a superhero for showing up with a smile on my face and doing my job despite the pain I'm going through. Yeah. But then at another point, you're like, I'm fucking lying to people.
It was like, tough.
Yeah.
It was real tough. Yeah. I mean, like, not many people, I think like 2 people knew what I was really going through, and they found out by mistake. It wasn't like I ran to anybody, and it was really difficult to like be who I know I am, but sometimes I was a broken me who I know I am, and still had to just know, like in my mind, nobody cares what you're going through, Cindy. Get out there and do what you're there to do.
Yeah.
And that's not an easy thing, like to do that on a daily for 8 years. I have no idea how I don't look like I'm 100 years old, and you know, like I don't look what I've been through.
You look phenomenal.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
but it's tough.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is the American way. Seems me to like go through. Well, also the immigrant way too. I'm an Italian, second generation
Caribbean,
Italian. Yeah, and you know, my parents, especially the women in my family, have just had to like put their head down, keep raising the family, keep taking it on the chin. It all you go to work, go to work, go to work. That's all that really matters. I think it's cultural. I think it's nationwide. I also think it's a female thing. Yeah. No matter what women are going through, it's don't react. You don't be emotional. Just keep everything going. But do you feel like, I mean, because I felt this way, I feel like it takes a toll on your nervous system over a while, not only the relationship, but having to show up and fake it. Like when that's the opposite of what's going, that's so much more work.
Girl, hiding it is like
more painful.
And the thing with me is like I was at a job that I started getting unhappy in. And so then I was dealing with being happy in a building I wasn't happy in, being in a relationship, being in my house where I wasn't happy in, being like, it was
trapped
just so
in your
many
life.
Trapped. I was trapped.
Yeah.
There was no way out. Like I literally said, this is how I'm gonna end up dying, because he's gonna be here forever. I'm never gonna, there's no way to get rid of him. I will not escape this. I genuinely thought I would not escape it.
Yeah, me too. At my time, yeah.
Yeah, and then just one day an incident happened, and it happened in front of people, and that was the difference.
Yeah.
Because usually the incidents happen in private.
Yeah.
When it happened in public, I was like, oh, so and in a sense, I thought I'm protecting him too by not telling everybody what he's doing.
Yeah.
And when he went public, I was like, okay, you want to go public with it? I'm going to go public too. And that's when I went to the police department, got a restraining order.
Hell yes.
And I never looked back. I've never spoken one word to him ever again.
Good.
I just completely, like, I saw like the gate was a little bit open, and I'm like, boom, like,
and you
that was my one
out.
exit. I just pushed it open and ran, and I have never looked back.
I love that. And congrats. And I know that feeling, and it's God, it's such a relief when it hits, because everybody in your life tells you you have to leave. And
how though? A lot of the times you're thinking, how though?
How? A, and B, like also too, if you're living together and your money's intertwined, or even you work together, which is where it seems like in both of our situations, check. It's a hell of a lot. Like even when like abuse or narcissism or isn't present, I tell my friends, even if they're really excited about somebody they're dating and they're like, we may end up moving in together or we might end up where, I'm like, always wait on those particular decisions. Like anything, like, cause that's like, really make sure you know him. Make sure it changes everything. And it's going to be a lot harder to leave. But
you know what's so funny is that when I think back, they show you who they are.
Immediately.
And then, but you just like, make an excuse for them, or maybe I read it wrong, or, you make excuses and don't take them for what they're showing you. And so that's where I felt like the first time he did it, I was like, well, I made that happen because of what I said.
I always put it back on me.
Yeah. And it was like, but after a while, I'm like, listen, bruh, no. Like enough already. And then by then I was already cobwebbed in, didn't know how to get out. Didn't want to involve my family because I didn't want anyone in my family to go to jail. Yeah. I didn't know what to do because I was like, if I tell this person, they're going to go kill him and then my family or my friend is in jail.
Oh,
like, you don't even know who to tell.
I had my uncles that were like, it's a matter of a phone call. Yeah. I was like, no. Everybody sit down. Everybody, I don't want anybody going to jail, anybody dying. Like, I even still have like male best friends to this day that are like, if I see him. And I'm like, if you see him, do me a favor. Leave him alone. Okay. Because the greatest punishment is that he has to live in his own. He has to live with himself. Live in his own sauce. Trust me, leave him alone. Like honestly, no. But it's so true. But I think like there's a book called like The Body Keeps the Score, and it's really good. You should read it. I think I have a copy. I'll lend it to you. It's really good, especially for things that we've gone through. Yeah. And I think it's proof that your body does keep the score in the sense that when you're ready to leave, you will. And for all the times you failed before, even if it's not a person, by the way, if anybody's listening, even if it's a job or if it's whatever, when you are ready, you will leave. And that one successful attempt the entire way through makes all the times you tried before and didn't quite fully be able to. They apologized and you went back or whatever. Yeah. Everything. But also, too, you're a normal human being for reacting that way. Normal human beings and abusive relationships or bad friendships or bad whatever, I feel like normal, good human beings give the benefit of the doubt. Yeah. That doesn't make you stupid or a bad person. That's a sign of a good person to be like, okay, maybe somebody made a mistake or they were drunk or I know what they're battling with. So maybe that's a normal. Abusive people and bad people are the opposite. They do what they do and they don't question it. They don't care. They don't care.
And 5 minutes later, act like nothing ever happened.
Act like nothing happened. So,
crazy.
I know a lot of people can just get down on themselves for stuff like that. But, and I also feel like, so like in both scenarios, like, you would mention like at the time you were also unhappy with your job and maybe unhappy with where you were living or X, Y, Z other things. Yeah. I don't know if you feel this way, but for me, it was the same. And I feel like I had to kind of zoom out and look at like, what was the common thread in all those decisions I made in my life at that time? Because my reason for staying in that job is really the same reason for staying with him and probably the same reason that I wasn't doing comedy at the time or the same reason I still kept that dumb bitch around that really wasn't a good friend, but you know what I mean? Yeah, there's a connective tissue. Yeah.
There's a link that has everything on a keychain and you're like trying to open the little knot, the little circle thing and you're like,
you're like, so what's the common thread with all these people and these things? Yeah. And it could be anything, but that's so more power to us. That's all I have to say.
I'm a survivor.
Yeah, we are.
I'm Beyonce though.
Excuse me, I am the main character in this story. So what are you working on now? I mean, I know you always seem to have your hands in like a million different things, but is radio still a part of your journey right now? Or what part of it? Or where are you at with everything?
Well, after I escaped the incident that we were just talking about in January, I took a leave of absence from the radio station and I returned in January. And when I returned in January, I just started, and I was in therapy, like I'm in the healing process, trying to get through everything. I just realized that I'm in the point in my life that if it doesn't make me feel good, if it doesn't make me happy, I'm not dealing with it. And a lot of the times, like, we're like, oh, I don't want to go. And then we just go because that's what life is. I'm not doing that no more.
It kills your soul.
I was literally dead on the outside and dead on the inside when I'm going through therapy and trying to heal and restraining orders and trying to break free and all the other stuff. So in June, I resigned from 99 Jams after 24 years of being there. That's like my whole life. And I just couldn't take it anymore. I just was so unhappy there, unhappy with the things I was trying to heal from. And I just decided to do like a big purge of my life. I just deleted friends, deleted people that weren't friends. I just cleaned up shop.
Yeah.
So right now what I am doing is I'm launching my own talk show called Let's Pop Off.
Oh yeah.
And it's an interactive talk show where I have a live studio audience, a live online audience. And what inspired me to create this talk show was how when you on Instagram or social media, you see the comments and everybody's like, blah, 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 blah. Everybody's popping off and talking like they're an expert. So I want that all live at the same time. Me and my co-host, we're together. And that's what I'm launching now. That's what I'm really working on, a live interact. And that live aspect of that show, oh my God, is like insane to execute.
Love it. I love that. That's really cool. First off, congrats. And
thanks.
And second off, I mean, so that's cool. So you essentially want the comment thread to kind of come to life, if you will, like during the show. Do you think people are going to be as... Because people can get real mouthy and negative and mean online. Like, do you think your people are going to be the same? I feel like they're not going to be the same. Or are you going to try to,
It takes a minute. I'm like, the bar is open. Go get a drink. Loosen up.
Yeah. Lower those inhibitions. Yeah.
But I actually filmed the most recent episode because what I do is I go live, but then I also post edit an episode.
Yeah.
So there's an episode on my YouTube page. So basically, they at the beginning are like, and I'm like, excuse me, I see you, pop off, because they're there talking to their friend like, girl, no, I wouldn't do it.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
So last night we did the episode. It was fun as hell. And I just think like as the episodes go, it's only going to get better and better. People are going to get familiar with it and be more ready to pop off. But my audience last night was popping off.
I love that. I love that. And if you've been also you've been so authentic and honest on air for so many years that I think they know to expect that from you, and they know that you're fostering an environment where you expect that from them. Yeah. I mean, it's like, I can already tell that in a couple episodes, you're going to have people walking into your studio like, I have notes. I'm prepared.
I'm ready.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. It's like, I love, like, my crowds are like that. I did stand up last night, and I take it as a compliment when my crowds do this to me, when they talk to me. I really like it. Yeah. Obviously not when they're mean, but even when they're mean. Because even when they're mean, if they're mean, you're making them care. I always say that.
When they're quiet, they're like, okay, I'm laughing or whatever. But when they talk trash, I triggered something. What's up?
What's up?
Come here.
Exactly. I'm always like, you're not bombing if you're getting any reaction out of the audience. It's you're bombing when they look like they could take it or leave it if you're on stage or not. So I'm like, be angry. At least I know I struck a nerve. Yeah. But I dealt with that last night. My show felt like probably an episode of your show. I just had so many people like, really? What's your birth control? I heard you shouldn't have sex during a full moon.
Talking out loud.
Well, why did you do that? Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, guys, I'm just trying to get through my set. Like, I was like, what? But then afterwards, it was great because they all were like, we loved you. We felt like, oh, blah, blah. And I liked that. Yeah. But I guess it's like, I mean, that's the age we live in, and it's an election year, so everybody wants to.
Yeah, everybody wants to hear themselves talk. That's why I created that talk show, because everybody thinks they have something to say and that everyone should hear what they have something to say. Like, okay, so talk.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's smart. That's totally smart. That's why I always do some element of crowd work whenever I do an hour, because I'm like, it allows like the audience to feel like it's choose your own adventure. Like, I'm like, well, you kind of decide what joke I do next based on how you want to be in this moment or whatever. And it allows them to have like ownership over what's happening in a sense.
Yeah. So, wait, but did you just say your set is an hour?
I do hours now on the road.
Woo!
Yeah.
That's a lot. My talk show is an hour, but I have co-hosts. I can bounce back. But to be on stage in front of people but you know what? I forgot what comedian came to the radio station. I interviewed them and I said to them, comedy is different now because everybody's like this. Next. Next joke. Like, go. And you have to keep.
I joke on stage. I'm like, you guys laugh, and then you immediately die out. Like, keep going, midget. Like, keep going, monkey.
Yeah. Like you have to keep going. An hour? Whoa.
And it's because we are hyper over consuming everything.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, don't you feel that way? You're so good at your social media. Like sometimes I feel in the last year, since social media has really become my job or a part of my job, I'm like, God, I'm just like a content whore. I just feel like a factory.
You have to.
Like I'm just like
so. One of my least favorite things is creating content. Like that's not one of my thing. Like let's go content creation day. Yeah, I'm like no.
Me too. I see comedians just film sketches, or I see like just talking into their phone every day. A new video comes out, and I'm like,
how,
bro?
How do they do that?
And you know what I think is funny about that? We're both like media personalities, entertainers. You know, queens. Okay. First things first. That, but I think we're right in that sense. Like, I think that's unnatural. Like, and I think it's okay that we have a resistance to that. I think it means we're human beings and not robots. I think you're weird if it's that easy for you to like be
constantly
that on
all day.
I think that's weird, and I think it's
I do what I can. That's all. I'm doing the best I can.
If I'm not feeling it, it's not happening. And that's really that.
And it won't be funny and it won't be entertaining. I have to be in that mood to be like, hey, so. It's a lot though.
Yeah, and I think that it's, and like content and social has just become like, it's become primary when it invented to be secondary. It was supposed to supplement the real art forms and the real forms of connection, like radio or like live stand-up or like public appearances or like social media was supposed to supplement and amplify that.
Now it's
the opposite. Yeah.
And we have to catch up with it.
Yeah, exactly. As opposed to it catching up to us.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like it's like I can have a video go viral and I would get way more follows and engagement and eyes on it than I did talking on air for 4 hours every morning to hundreds of thousands of people. Yeah. You know what I mean? That would still be like, oh, what's your name again? Like I was like, and granted, I wasn't on air for nearly as long as you were, but it's interesting. But so this was incredible. So I don't know. So we do call the show, I call it Big Yikes. Okay. Because that's something I say often, like big yikes. And I do it, I love vulnerability. And I love, especially when powerful, awesome, accomplished people and public figures like can share a moment when they fucked up or they learned something or just like a really embarrassing story. So does anything come to mind? Big yikes for you? A big yikes moment?
God, I've had so many. Because I'm super clumsy. I'm super clumsy. I talk out the side of my neck sometimes, even though I didn't intend it to come out like that. It comes out like that.
I've never heard that before. Talk out the side of your neck.
Yeah,
never heard that before. That's
you never
amazing.
Talk out the side of your neck, like you're not really thinking what you're saying.
I heard talk out of my ass. I've heard that. Yeah, that makes sense.
Talking out the side of your neck.
Yeah.
I can't even on the spot. You should have prepared me because I would have thought of something. But on the spot, I can't think of anything. But I've fallen on stage before. I've fallen in the club. I've tripped. I've said things before that just was like, holy, why did I say it like that? And I'm like, wait, I didn't mean it like that, but it's already out.
Yeah.
But to pinpoint a story, I've been doing this so long, I can't even like think of a specific. And I'm so sorry. That's such a whack answer.
No, it's not because it's not at all. And because it inspired a question for me. So, okay, so you said like you've said things that have maybe not. Have you ever had something really not be received well, or like? Because that is a fear of where we're at. I feel like content creators and we're not allowed to like make a mistake anymore. Like comedians,
Everything has
especially,
to be perfect.
it's fucking unrealistic. And that's all thanks to cancel culture. Like even comedians, it's like, that joke's fucked. Like, all right, bro, like, have you ever done comedy?
like
Give them a second. Like maybe they're trying to like work something out.
I hate that they try to filter comedy, because comedy was the outlet of saying like, what? Did they just say that? And now it's like, comedy's filtered, or they're trying to filter comedy, but it is to an extent. But I mean, I've been on the radio 24 years. I have said a lot on the radio that I got called into the office, or I remember, I don't want to say the rapper. I'm not going to say the rapper because I'm going to get in trouble.
It's all right.
But I reported a story where a married rapper had gotten, head from a girl who was known in the streets for giving, And so I reported it, but I wasn't really even thinking about his wife or anything like that. I just reported it as a story because I was the skirt with the dirt at the time doing reports. And so next thing I know, like that weekend, it was like on a Tuesday or something. It was viral. It was everywhere. And like that weekend, I went out to a festival. And guess who I'm sitting next to? The rapper guy.
Oh, and I'm sure he knows.
But I totally forgot that I even reported. I wasn't even thinking about it because I just read the story.
I'm on it every day. I don't remember what the fuck I said. Yeah.
And so he was like, yo, Sue, can I talk to you for a second? I'm like, yeah, sure. Like, clueless.
Yeah.
That's the blonde in me that I said. I'm like so clueless all the time. And he said, what about my wife? Did you think about it? Because we're like cool. Like I know his wife and everything. But I wasn't thinking. I was just saying what the story. I seriously was not thinking. And he just called me out on it. And I was like, and when he called me out, I was like, oh my God, I didn't even think of it like that. Like, I am so sorry.
Did he say that like, because when you broke the news, did you also broke the news to his wife? Basically,
I'm not sure. He didn't touch on that, but it was viral everywhere. So she had to have seen it.
Sure.
But like me talking about it here in the 305 in Miami, like co-signed it because people really looked at that time at my dirt report as it is what it says. You know what I mean? And so he called me out and I was like, I am so sorry. Like I just read it. I didn't even think about feelings. And I was honest with him. Like usually I like look at things. I'm like, no, I'm not going to report that or whatever. I just read it. I wasn't even thinking.
Yeah.
And so I guess he forgave me. I don't know. But he says hi to me still. So
that's good. So at least you're I mean, that's so funny though, too, that he's the one who technically did the wrongdoing.
Yeah, but he came after me. Why are you talking? But I like him, so I felt bad. Why did I let him make me feel bad, though?
Yeah, you're like, well, I am an entertainment reporter. I am the skirt.
Doing my job.
With the dirt.
Right.
That's it. That's all you want. Yeah. I mean, that's also like society's adversity to the truth and to accountability a little bit, too. Because it's like, I joke about dark, real things in my act because they're important to talk about. Like I have material about, and I shouldn't say joke, I mean they're jokes, but about like school shootings in America, and I've gotten in trouble with theaters or like audience members are like, you shouldn't even talk about that. And I'm like, first off, like, the truth is the truth.
Yeah. And like we're trying to avoid it.
They're like, we can't avoid it is like number one. And then also number two, I'm like, why are you getting more mad at like the reporting of the story or the comedian trying to write material about it? If you're so upset, go do something.
Yeah, go to legislature and be mad at them and they aren't changing the laws.
Or don't get a blowjob from your sneaky link.
Yeah, like,
I don't know.
Go do something.
Go do something else with your time.
Exactly.
Yeah. I love it. I have one last question because I thought about it just now. And you're lovely. And I as somebody who's had such an impressive and like decade spanning career and TV, Love and Hip Hop, radio, everything that you do, your nonprofit, like. And as somebody who's working on that climb now and as a public figure, what was the moment, do you remember a moment when you thought to yourself, it's happening for me, or I'm blowing up? Or do you have it, was it a certain gig, a certain moment, meeting somebody? Yeah.
I think I've had many moments like that. I don't mean to sound like,
No.
But I have had like wow moments. But I think when I got inducted into the Library of Congress, that was like
so cool.
what the? Like,
Hell is happening.
I'm going to live in the Library of Congress. My name is going to be there forever.
Yeah.
that was really, because I've won, like, literally to this point, I have 5 proclamations.
That's amazing.
In the city of Miami, like Miami-Dade, North Miami Beach, North Miami, Miami Gardens. I have 4 then, not 5. And then inducted into the Library of Congress. Like, so many things. For years, I didn't get recognized, acknowledged, and I just kept going because I wasn't doing it for that. You know what I mean? Like, through my nonprofit. I never mentioned my nonprofit. My team is going to kill me. You never mentioned Super Friends. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But just, I think when you have intentions of doing something and it comes from your heart or your passions, you're not thinking about the Emmy or the Oscar or the awards that come with it. And then when they do come, it's like, damn, thanks. I feel appreciated.
Yeah.
And my awards just kept coming back to back from like 2021 on.
Amazing.
Like Miami New Times Best On-Air Radio Personality.
Yeah.
For years, I was like, why don't they ever even nominate me? Like, they never nominated me. And then one year I just won. I was like, wait, I won?
Yeah, like, what happened?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was happy though, but I was like, I'll take it. I don't care why.
Yeah.
But
that's
I
true.
think the Library of Congress and me going to the White House and going
Huge.
into the Library of Congress and meeting the people at the White House and then also going to the Christmas party this past year at the White House. Like, I just hope like whoever's the new people at the White House that I get invited still. But I don't know if I'll get invited if it's, the other way.
The other way, yeah. Well,
I want to go to the Christmas party. It was the food. Girl, can I just say this?
Yeah.
When I went to the Christmas party, girl, the scrimps, I'm not even going to say the shrimp. The scrimps and the beef tenderloin, girl, that food
Was on fire.
was so, I was like,
Yeah.
I paid for this. I bought this for myself with my tax dollars.
Oh my God,
But-
that's funny.
But the food is incredible at those parties.
Yeah,
Like, I was like,
you're like,
Jesus.
oh, free catering. You're like, is it my tax dollars paid for this? Like, yeah.
Because it
That's
was
funny.
like at the Christmas party, it was like a buffet type style that you like. There's a table, like a long table of food, and you're going with your
And you're just
plate and
getting
you're
a little
serving.
bit of
So
everything.
usually when you do stuff like that, the food is like, it's good, all right. So I went the first time and just served myself half little of everything just to taste it. And me and my friend, shouts to my girl Jill Strata, she went with me and we went and ate. And we were sitting there at the table. I was like, girl, I'm going again. I didn't even care. I was in my little gown. I was like, I do not care. I'm going back in line.
You're like, no judgment. I made it this far in my career to where I'm invited to the White House Christmas party.
Girl, it'll
I'm eating
happen.
whatever
We're
I want.
going. And
That's
the
it.
decorations were insane. I was like, wow.
I'm sure. And I mean, that's like so huge. And I don't think everybody has those goals, but I think when you're right, when you do become so committed to your craft, it's okay also too. Obviously, not everybody's gonna make it to the White House or get a Grammy or get a Netflix
It's
special.
different things.
It's different things, but that specifically is like elevating to a leader that I don't think everybody necessarily aims to be. And I think that's also okay. But it's like, like some people in my field just want to be like a really, really good comic. And then some people want to like elevate to where they can produce specials and provide opportunities for other people. Right. Or some people want to be a really good comic. Some people want to like get a Nobel Peace Prize for comedy. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's always so impressive when you can see the artist even elevate from just like the art.
Yeah.
And also like, you're right. Cause it's like, I'm at a point in my career right now too, where like, it's like industry things are within grasp. And like,
they're right there.
They're right there. And I thought it was a grind before.
No.
It's a grind now.
No,
years
girl,
into
yes.
comedy. This is when it's like follow up, get in front of this person, hustle, connect the dots, deadline.
Can I just tell you a story real quick?
Yeah, please. Yeah.
When Rick Ross, the rapper,
Yeah.
I know Rick Ross since he was a local rapper in Miami.
Yeah.
He was grinding, hustling, trying to get through. Then he came out with a song that was a huge success that took him to the next level. And I remember we were, there was a festival he was performing right when he made it, crossed over to making it, being big. And I saw him and I said, how does it feel now that you finally made it from a local rapper to a rapper? He's like, Sue, the work begins now. Like now I have to fight and work even harder to remain relevant.
Yeah.
And I never forgot that because like the every accolade that you climb and make, no, there's 100 more accolades that you have to keep climbing.
And the gaps are even bigger. And it's like
to get to it.
That's why, and it's like we all get caught up with this whole like, when am I gonna make it? And I'm sure so many people look at you as like, oh, she made it. And
I did
like
not.
you have, but again, you haven't. None
There's
of us
so much
have.
more.
There's always so much more. Yeah, like it's like my first couple years in comedy, like, yeah, you think that's the grind. Like, yeah, I did a couple open mics tonight. Or I got some shows this week.
That's the beginning, girl.
It's the beginning. I'm in my 4th, 5th year. And now actually that I have management and an agent and like things are, there's momentum. Now it's like, I really feel like, oh, I really cannot take my foot off the gas right now.
Nope.
Like, because the exciting part of it is those things that I work towards or those industry things are actually like, in sight. And then, but it's also even for the success, the early success, small success that I've had, even I still struggle to feel like, am I still relevant? And I ain't even shit. And you know what I mean? And I'm like, I haven't announced something in a while. I want that thing. Am I going to get it or not? You know what but it's, yeah, like the work begins when you least expect it. Like this is when the real like, oh shit, I'm in it now.
Yeah.
You know, like, and I actually missed the early days when I could get on stage and I could just bomb freely and
just walk off and be like, whatever. They'll never see me again.
And now like every show I had in LA, there was like so much industry everywhere in LA. And my managements and agents like sent my schedule to so many people and it was like going, and I was just like, every show I showed up in, there was industry. And I was like, fuck.
The pressure's on.
Yeah, I was like, God damn it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and it's like, oh, now I get it. Like, that's when the work begins, you know?
You know what? And another thing I want to say is like, I think we're so guilty, or I'll speak for myself then. I feel like I'm guilty of not dreaming bigger. Because the thing is like when you dream what you think in your mind is realistic. I would have never dreamed about the Library of Congress or going to the White House Christmas party and stuff like that. That was never even on my radar.
Yeah.
I received the invite and I'm like, what?
Literally, am I getting pranked? Like, what's happening? Yeah.
So I just feel like there should be no ceiling to our dreams. Like you have to dream bigger. Okay, if you have a dream right now, extend it. Like dream bigger than what your dream is.
Yeah.
And I'm guilty of just always putting a border on my dream. And I'm
We
like,
all do.
I have to learn kick it and move it and dream bigger than that because the possibilities are endless. Like we really do. I know it sounds so cliche. Dream big. No, we really have to not put a boundary on where we're going.
Yeah, and I think also staying open-minded, and I think that's what's gotten, like, it's part of what's gotten you so far, and why you've even surprised yourself, aka achieving things you didn't even think were possible or were a thing. Yeah. And I think that's why it's always tough for me whenever the people ask me, like, what are your goals with comedy? Like, yeah, sure, I can rattle off certain things.
The checklists.
But, like, those networks might not even exist next year. They already don't. Some of them don't. Like, literally, Comedy Central isn't even, like, really a thing anymore or whatever. So I think, like, I've tried to rework my brain to say one of two things. Like, instead of just being like, oh, I want to be, like, famous, I try to, because your words are powerful, I try to be like, I want to be well-known and respected for good reasons. I want to be famous for good reasons.
Yeah.
You can be famous nowadays for
a lot of bad stuff.
Hawk to a girl. Like, no, I'm kidding.
I like that. Yeah. For good reasons.
For good reasons. And also, like, I invite and I claim things I haven't even dreamed of yet. Like, that's really
part.
Like,
you got to manifest that and bring it to you.
Because there might be
attract
something
it to you
that I don't even know could change my life. That I'm not even
to even ask for it.
Yeah. I think that's dreaming. Because like you said, like getting invited to the White House. You're like, that's not what you think when you become a comedian. But you know what? You never know. You might become so like, I'm sure Dave Chappelle didn't think that when he started stand up. He just was like, I want to be funny and do this for as long as I can. Yeah. And now he's like a philosopher. Yeah.
You know what's so crazy, Brittany? I'm looking at you right now. And I don't know if this is like one of your goals that you want to check off, but I could literally, like the way you talk and remembering how we worked together at the station and then your improv classes, like I so see you like on one of these amazing sitcoms, like these shows, ensemble cast with an Emmy at the Emmys that just passed the other day. Like,
thanks.
You would fit so, because you're naturally in real life funny. I could see you falling into character of whoever your character will be.
Thank you.
Like, you're so dope. I said it that day when we did the improv class. I'm like, girl, you are so dope.
Thank
and
you.
you really are dope.
Thank you. So are you.
I really think you're, I don't know why I feel like crying right now.
I know,
but really
I do
think-
too.
Why am I crying? Oh, God.
Thank you.
No, but I see it.
It was. Thank you. I'm definitely open to a sitcom. I can do a Kegel and manifest that any day. I do Kegels whenever I'm manifesting now. I'm like Netflix.
Okay, Hulu.
Yeah, I'll take Hulu. I don't care. Yeah, whatever. Disney Plus. But thank you. And like, like just to put a wrap up even for an hour over an hour. So thank you. And no, it's perfect. It was so cool, and it was like a highlight for me, and to have met you during that time, and I'm glad our paths crossed, because I mean, I'm sure they would have. I would hope that they would have at some point, but I geeked out like after doing an improv workshop with you, and then like our coworkers being like, she loved you, and you taking the time to be like, that was so cool. You're great. I see you. Like it really resonated. And I think it's like such a reminder for what we do, that like we really do impact people. Yeah. And even if you don't do what Supa and I do, like take that second to tell that person their shirt looks nice, or they killed it, or you're whatever. It really goes along.
Be secure enough to compliment somebody. What is the problem?
It feels so good, actually. It really feels like, they even say like psychologically, like, it's better dopamine for your brain when you're the person able to help people than receiving help. Obviously feels nice and like a relief, but they actually say like in the long term, helping people is actually like, it actually makes you like people more when you're able to help them. So if for anything, that's an incentive for people to like spread the love and spread it does feel good to just tell people like, you look great. Yeah. Great job. Like, the more of that you put out there, you get back. So
for real.
Thank you. And you're so dope.
Thank you, you too.
Oh my God. So we had Supa the Queen. Okay, where can people find you and what you're working on? Tell them everything.
Yeah, so you can follow my movements. All my social media platforms are Supa Cindy, SUPA Cindy. And you can find me there. And make sure you subscribe to my YouTube page, please. I want my talk show to just be great.
You want your talk show to pop off.
Yeah. Hey, go Brittany. I even got a theme song for my talk show.
Oh my God, I love that.
Yay.
You are a branding queen. Brand is on point. Like, you're a branding queen when people literally call you like Supa. I'm like, the brand has been established.
Okay, stamped. Delivered.
Official. Amazing.